Okay, so now we get to my area, prepress. But yeah, the indigo inkjet is indigo printer is very similar to the inkjet in that there's two big machines. There's a duplexer in the middle, and it comes off on a big roll to go through the great printer, and you get very large. The ability to run very large jobs, but also the speed is increased. So those indigos are basically running at the same speed as a sheet-fed indigo, but there's two of them, and their blanket is bigger. So you're basically doubling your speed. Okay, so prepress in my area, receiving art. We are a PDF workflow on demand, so we prefer to receive our art as finished PDFs. We'll take it any way you can give it to us. However, we do. We'll provide the imposition. We do have online fulfillment. I'll get to that a little bit later. And we do a lot of variable data printing. So if there's, for example, a job that you want to do with variable data, you don't know how to achieve the variable data part of it, you just need to give us background in design, in PDF, and we can actually do all the variable data on top of it normally. You might want to send us the InDesign file just in case we need to do some major adjustments. But we've got a lot of software like Pitstop, and so the tools that we use include plugins for PDF like Pitstop, White Imposing, Crackerjack, etc. Now Pitstop, I don't know if any of you do use it. You're able to go into PDFs and you're able to change colours and remove stuff and add stuff and all sorts of things. So there are last minute fixes that we can do for you, so you don't need to always be revising files and sending files. If there is something that's small that can be done, we'll do it for you. I warn you that sometimes things like spacing can get slightly changed, so it's something to use with a bit of caution, but most of the time it's pretty good. But we can do things like replace spot colours for you, so if you wanted this spot colour but you found that it needed to be adjusted slightly, we can do that for you at the last minute. And yeah, we've got all the imposition software, so we'll do all the impositions. You just need to give us the one-up files. We use variable data printing. Our company mainly uses something called PageFlex, which is a variable data design environment, which allows for a hell of a lot of variability. We can just do anything with a piece of paper. These superannuation fields, if you understand that when we do these, we can't actually use Excel anymore because there's too many data fields in Excel. 256 data fields wide, it runs out, so we have to use some pretty serious software to get all the government regulations that go into doing a superannuation statement done. But these statements can be done with, when the information's fed in, it can say, right, this person's a woman, divorced, this, that, the other, and everything will change. It'll have maybe a pinky colour if it's female, and bluish colour if it's a male. If they're divorced, then the section on divorce will have to just turn up and say how much gets owed to her from this or that or whatever. We can put adverts in, so a lot of superannuation statements, nothing goes in for a lot of the statement, and they've got spare place on the page. So we've set up adverts that if there is one with not much space, bang, an advert goes in for the superannuation company. So each and every one of these that comes through is completely different to the other ones. Now, the problem with that is keeping track of the whole thing. So what we have to do is create quality control along the way. So when these things get printed out, you'll see that it's a 4-page document. What will actually happen is each page gets printed out, and there'll be a barcode on that page, there'll be a barcode that page, there'll be a barcode that page, and a barcode that page. And when it goes to that saddle stitching machine, there's a barcode reader, and it'll go and read. It's a double barcode reader. It goes like that, and as they come through, it'll read page number, page number, page number, page number. Check with this database. page number, page number, page number, page number, check with this database. If those eight numbers don't match up to each other, don't match up to who it's supposed to be and all the rest of it, alarms will go off and the machine will just stop. But everything normally is alright and should be alright. The whole thing. Now you've got to imagine that, as you saw with that saddle stitching machine, was putting different piles of paper together. So we've got to print just enough of each pile uncollated and then make them match up afterwards. So it's a really big job, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So it is a really big quality control procedure to have to go into place. And the testing of these sort of statements is very rigorous, because of course someone gets their statement, something's wrong, we get into a lot of trouble. So there's a very big peer review process, and these things have to get signed off by 20 different people before we can run on big data sets. So you'll actually run 200-300 of these. You'll go back to the superannuation company and they'll check those 300 before they give you the okay to run the whole batch. And then one of the other things that we do is this DPID information, the barcode for the address. Australia Post allows you to put extra information in there for yourself. So we put extra information about QCing it, and then it'll, for example, one of the last things that we do is the people that are actually packing it into boxes put it into a plastic sleeve to make sure that nothing gets wrong. Then they scan it, make sure it's got to go into the right box, scan the box, so that's all right. Once the box says it's full, we cover the box off, seal it up with tape, and that then goes to Australia Post. But it's got to be, that whole procedure's got to be done and accounted for, and all those barcodes go together, and we send them a list that these people definitely got sent their superannuation statements, so there's no excuse. And then the last thing we do is we send all the files to superannuation companies so that they can put it up on their website and people can go and view their statements online. So it's a whole end-to-end procedure. You've got to look at the whole thing holistically and how we're going to get this thing achieved. So there's a lot to be done in those sorts of jobs. The other one that we use, one of the nice little pieces of software that we've got, is something called Direct Smile. Direct Smile is a German company. There's a couple of companies that do the same sort of thing, but basically you can do variable data with pictures. So unfortunately, I'll put this underneath here. What this allows you to do is we make these calendars. The client's got a choice of different images that they might like to use in that calendar. So we've got a whole catalogue of different images which have got smiles applied to them. And so, for example, this was the name Dale that came through the software. So for this one we made like that cloud area there, and it's fitted his name in there, and the wheat. This particular client is a good one because they come in every year and they give us shots from their travels abroad, and then we're supposed to fill in their shots. So they've gotten good at picking good shots that'll work well. So this thing here, we got rid of I think it was the Lion King advert on the side there, put Dale in, welcome Dale on the side there. Sometimes, like this one, they picked a really difficult one because there's nowhere to put the big smile so you can see it quite easily. This one worked out quite well. It was coming out of the snow. Graffiti on the back of it. Again, there was just very little we could do with that one that would look like it was real. Some of the ones that we do are really good. And the company also sells things like this off the website. This is one that we used. We had a bubbles one, and really it's too far away to do bubbles, but we tried other things and it didn't really take. This is one I like. It's the birds flying in the sky making the name. And then this one was just to us that's not much. And this one was quite good, making the clouds make the name. But as you can see, we've got a whole lot of other different ones you can pick. I'm just trying to find some of the big ones, like this one here. This one, it's a bit too small. It's basically a sparkler. No, sorry, you can't really see it. I'll put the lights down a bit. Maybe not. Yeah, the clouds again. And you can get us to make your own smile, or you can choose from our catalogue and say, right, put this together with a calendar, or you can put it into one of your pieces so that you have something that's really nicely put together. For example, this one here is a totally variable data. This was more of an exercise in what can we possibly do and put into this. I thought I bought two this evening, but I seem to have lost one, so you can see the difference between the variability. But and I didn't work on this, but I did visit the guy every site to see how he was going. But basically, you could have this is the account manager that's involved with the person that's going there, so that changes. The number there changes. That's the account manager ringing you. This USB stick, there's like 5 different USB sticks. These background ones, they change between the 3 based on whether that person's interested, is a client that's been flagged as being interested in that type of printing. So this one here says variable data printing, etc., so someone else that might be involved in. So that might go to a person that does the superannuation, but someone that does offset printing, you might have offset printing at the front here. But yeah, this changes between different things. The coffee cup changes. The list here apparently changes. I'm not 100% sure. They put book spines at the back here, so it's not much of a design, but more of a play around. But I'm just trying to find out which ones that they've done. Oh, sorry, I'll put it on here. Unfortunately, not having done it, I don't know all the intricacies of it. I can't find out where the person's name is. Second Cummings and Lucy Hatcher might be the one that's to Fred. I don't know. Anyway, so these things change and different books come in and all sorts of things move around. So there's a lot of things that you can do with variable data. There's a lot of and having these machines that are able to print at high speed just means that it now becomes cheaper and easier to get that sort of thing done. So it's just limited more by imagination than anything else.